I know I've beaten on this quite a bit lately, but I have to say this. Every day it amazes me when you look at Biden, AOC, Omar. Clearly, mental illness is alive and well in Washington. AOC, this is not just a personal attack. She's slamming Biden for standing up way too late and doing nothing. It's a nothing burger. Limiting the number of people that can seek asylum from the Mexican border. Biden is the definition of a loser. He's the worst president we've ever had in the history of the US. And the guy is incompetent as folk. AOC does not live in the real world. I don't know if she's an immigrant. We saw her immature way of handling her mother's leaky facility in Puerto Rico, and Republicans raised money. She refused to take it, playing the toddler victim approach in her complete hatred towards white conservative men. Now, pay attention. She's married to a white man. Ask her why she didn't marry a Puerto Rican or a Hispanic. See if she answers you. She won't. Kamala Harris is up there too. Talks about white privilege, but she married a white guy with hair loss too. I say that because how do we hold these fools accountable? AOC thinks we ought to just let all the illegals in. Has she offered to house any of them in her luxury flat condo townhome in DC and her one back in New York? Of course not. This is what I've said about the Democrats. It is an epidemic among Democrats as they set policy, tell everybody else how we need to believe, how we need to live, but they don't model a damn thing. We're talking about a woman who's afraid of a doggone sink aerator, otherwise known as a garbage disposal. She wants to ban planes, trains, and automobiles. AOC lacks cognitive thinking skills. She projects herself to be intellectual, high IQ, good looking. She's among those women that think that men are intimidated by a beautiful, brainiac woman. Number one, I'm not. AOC is not a brainiac. She is not an intellectual. She's a radical. She's an extreme radical. She doesn't live in the border towns. She doesn't live in the towns where these illegals are flooding in and committing crimes. She doesn't care. And I said this before. Now let's jump over to Biden for a minute. Biden is truly an idiot. He and his wife have been cruising in and out of the courtroom to do what I call virtue signaling to the jurors to make sure that they, treat her son with the utmost respect. Hunter Biden, who's addicted to crack cocaine, which is illegal in the U.S., there's been accusations of playing with minors, teenage girls. His ex-wife came in and testified, girlfriend, whatever, about the gun, about the crack. But as I said before, Democrats have privilege. They are granted immunity. They can break every law in the books and not be held accountable. They have been running around, parading around that, see, the Republicans will vote in a felon because they affixed a sticker on an ex-president. They didn't deal with him when he was president on this case. They didn't deal with him before he became, because it wasn't important to them. New York is a Salem witch trial. These liberal black judges, these liberal people salivating, trying to steal his property, fine as much as they can. New York is out of control. If they had a massive earthquake that destroyed New York City, and I've gotten to that point. Let the liberals say what they want about me. They have more compassion for a fucking dog than they do human babies. Any party that supports the genocide of 61 million children in the name of choice is not a party anybody should listen to. But this is business as usual, the steamrolling left. smashes and flattens everything in its path. And Omar Alon is criticizing Biden's decision. Omar should have never been allowed in this country, number one. Number two, she should have never been allowed to run for politics. She is not American to me. Does not embody what is American values. She's a Muslim. She's an extremist. She's from a country that can't get along with anybody. I just, every day, they just chose some woman for Miss Alabama. Huge. Something. And there's not allowed criticism of obesity and overweight women. Now they're called plus size BBWs and all these little, like pre-owned cars. Nobody wants to say used cars. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but listen. AOC, the left, Omar, Biden, they offend us all day. Where's their wokeness to be sensitive to us? This is how you win in the mind against these demons from the pit of hell. They're telling everybody, you can't say this, you can't do this, censor that, censor that. But where's our rights to not be offended? You think I'm lying? They can say fuck Trump. They can have that crazed female actress, that ugly redhead female actress holding a bloody picture of Trump's head and think that's funny. What did Trump do to these people? Nothing. He said he wanted to drain the swamp and the rats got pissed. The water moccasins, cottonmouths, and gators got pissed. That's what. When you see these people so angry at an individual who actually ran the country pretty well. We had no wars. Biden was quick to step into somebody else's business. Austria is criticizing the West. Austria, you never hear anything from Austria. You notice they didn't get involved in World War II. They did not. Austria is criticizing the West's decision to give arms to Ukraine and informing the Ukraine to send them into Russia. Austria says that the West is crossing a red line. And the news is peddling fanciful, distractory, nonsensical fables that this would be Putin's plan of escape. Putin's planning on escaping, huh? Does Putin look like somebody who's going to run and hide? I don't think so. I would rather have Putin as a leader than Biden because Putin was voted in again. And they're trying to make it sound like everybody hates Putin. The only people that hate Putin right now are leftist Democrats. Hillary Clinton sold them plutonium, uranium, something. Did anybody pay attention to that? She should have been charged with Benedict Arnoldism and treason of the worst order. You're selling the enemy plutonium. She should have been in prison for Benghazi. The Democrats want to talk about felonies. They have exceeded felonies in everything they've done. Biden allowing illegals to come in this country and make Americans unsafe, putting hardworking Americans at the end of the line while giving these assholes from Mexico, and I'm going to call them that. I don't care if they're children, women, or men. They're coming into our border illegally, and they need to be treated as lawbreakers. And we need to stop deporting them. We need guards on the border. You climb the fence, we shoot you. Go climb the fence in Iran. Go climb the fence in China and watch what happens. It's just like all these kids growing up today that aren't getting spanked because of liberal, toxic pus. That spanking damages a child's ego. Has anybody paid attention to the ego in these kids today? It's off the chain. Ilhan Omar, I have no respect for the woman. I don't need to. She was voted in by Minnesota morons who live far from Muslim radicalism. Minnesota has yet to experience suicide bombers in Lockerbie, Scotland, and trade tower disasters and Achille Lauro things. When they do, maybe then they'll wake up. But I don't know. Minnesota's never been known for being smart when it comes to the Democrats' bullshit. And I'm not going to apologize for the harsh things I say about this country. We've got a lot of dumb and dangerous people that are voting in leaders that are sinking our very country fast. Allowing illegals in from any country, allowing all these refugees to come in that hate us is not wise. Alexandra Ocasio is a mess. She is not somebody who should be in charge of a daycare center. And when I see her inviting illegals and dangerous people into her home and modeling what she claims we ought to be doing, they don't. And only dumb Democrats vote these clowns in, not holding them to a standard. Hunter Biden's going to weasel out of this crap. It's funny how much time Jill Biden has to show up at this courtroom. This is a woman who has way more privilege than any of the rest of us, folks. You got parents who won't even stand up for good children. And you got these scumbag president and first lady going to be there for their wretched, disgraceful acting son, doing dirty backyard deals with the Ukraine. That's why we're supporting them. And might I remind people, Ukrainians are not to be trusted. And Zelensky begging us, demanding us give him money. How did we get hoodwinked into this? And I'm going to say it again. Anything the Democrats propose that we get behind is the very thing we need to avoid. They'd never vote me as president. If I did, the first thing I'd say, we're done with the Ukraine. I'd call Putin and say, we're pulling out. We want nothing to do with this. It's not our business to get involved in the Ukraine. Democrats want to accuse the whites of stealing the land from the Native Americans, okay? But the Democrats have given none of their own personal bank accounts or real estate holdings to the Native Americans. Remember that. Democrats and the majority of African Americans that align themselves with the Democrat left like to boldly state that whites stole the land from the natives. I have yet to see a black family anywhere give all of their bank account and house and land and cars to the Native Americans. But one thing that the Democrats fail to realize is the Ukraine belonged to Russia long, long ago. And now they want to butt in and involve themselves in a quarrel. Do you know what the Bible says about that? He who meddles in a quarrel, not his own, is like one who grabs a dog by the ears. You're going to get bit. When I look at what America's doing with shitty leaders like AOC, Ilhan Omar, why would you let a Muslim move into America with her radical beliefs? She hates the Jewish people. She hates whites. She's making a salary that she doesn't deserve, $170K. She has no intelligence at all. None. Democrats always like to brag about how much intelligence they have. We see how well they've ran the country the last 4 years. It's been horrible. Suits and ties with college degrees do not good leaders make. Listening to Zelensky in the Ukraine demand the U.S. for money. What do we owe him? Absolutely nothing. Personally, the Ukraine should surrender to Russia and they'd still have somewhat of a life left. But they're getting their infrastructure bombed. The media keeps lying that they're winning the war. You think that Putin has once even admitted to that? Putin has the power to destroy the Ukraine. And while a bunch of children in the Democrat left are hurling insults at Putin, Putin not only shows great self control, but he hasn't smashed them like an iron hammer would. He's playing his cards very close to his chest. And it is my express opinion that America is going to escalate things because of the leadership of Shitty Joe. And all Putin would have to do is send an ICBM to a major city in America, and America's in deep shit. And might I suggest he could aim it right for DC when all the Democrats are in session, or hit New York City, or hit LA. Hit those Democrat loaded places. Take them out. No loss. And people say, would you really encourage that? When I see what's going on, the only way we're going to save this country is if we get all these Democrats out of office. Their brains don't think according to truth. They promote evolution, which is a lie. They don't believe in spanking or disciplining the kids. They believe in spherical heating and all these things made up in their head that are the gravest dangers facing this country. No, the gravest danger facing this country right now is the leadership of Joe Biden and these radical Democrats that have managed to get us involved in a war that is none of our business. And you're fucking with Russia. Very, 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 very unwise. Putin had said that if Hillary Clinton, this is what I had heard, I haven't been able to fact check this. And Putin said if Hillary had won, there was going to be a war. Hillary was quite friendly with Moscow. Hillary Clinton's a dirty, dirty, dirty junkyard dog anyway, as much of the left are, securing their little back street deals and everything else. And then they want to scream about justice. Now the Democrats are saying, oh, you voted a convicted felon. A convicted felon by a kangaroo court of black people and liberal haters of Donald Trump. That there's Democrats that have done way more than Trump has done, and they haven't gone after any of them. But let's add to this pile. The Democrats wanted to make a hero out of a convicted felon, a multiple-time convicted felon, a guy that was in the act of committing a crime and did not cooperate with the popo, a man who died of his own causes, fentanyl overdose, had COVID-19, had heart issues. Before Chauvin even had his knee anywhere near his back, Clown Man Floyd was saying, I can't breathe. Instead of sitting upright like a grown man in the back of the patrol car, he rolls down on the floor, his airway not obstructed, feet hanging out the back of the car. Not once did Chauvin try to grind his legs and shove the door against his feet. But the blacks and the liberals had a story about the abusive, racial Chauvin. I believe that Chauvin was unfairly charged with guilt. And the media wanted something. They wanted something to get the focus off Paul Fauci and the Democrats' draconian lockdown during COVID-19. They dropped the match on the can of gas and they played race card. And CNN and the media enjoyed coming into work extending their shifts, and setting America on fire with more charges of racism and those dirty, bad white males with all of their privilege. You think this wasn't orchestrated by the left? You think this wasn't a diversion? How many of these protesters are wearing masks and social distancing at the heart of all this? Did you hear the Democrats enforcing mask mandates and social distancing during the riots? No. Police departments were told to stand down and let them raise hell. That's a fact. AOC and Omar are idiots. The Bible says, Paul, I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over men. This is what happens, folks, when you let women reign over men in positions that should only be governed by men. I don't care if AOC and Omar think I'm sexist. Omar wants to hug and group hug her Islamic. She fails to realize that Islam is a male-dominated, male-generated, lying religion. There is no such thing as Allah. And Muslims do not respect women. They don't give them leadership rights. They cannot dress however they want. Ilhan Omar is not very smart up here about her own religion and her own country of male dominance. And she wants to come over here and mouth off to American men. Fuck you, bitch. Your Allah isn't working very hard for you now, is he? I'm not afraid of Islamic bullshit. This country was stupid in extending freedom to Muslims, to allow them to build mosques and carry their Quran around when in their own respective countries, no Christian church or Bibles allowed. America has done some really stupid things. Islam should not be allowed in this country. Why? Because it doesn't believe in the constitutional values of this country. They believe in destroying property and lives for people who will not convert to Allah. Why would the U.S. give them the same freedom that they don't give to us in their countries? You see, we set up a system years ago that opened the door for this kind of toxic sludge pouring in through every porthole, every seacock, and every gangway door. And the ship sinks lower every year. Biden is not leadership material. He's delusional. People who voted for him are delusional. The Democrats don't care if you suffer job loss. They don't care if your bank account dries up. They don't care if your Social Security dries up. They don't care if your neighbors hate your guts and play their rap crap and shake your house. They don't care. Do you know why? Because they've got all the money they need to remove themselves and insulate themselves against all of the things that normal Americans got to fight and deal with every day. This party is evil. It is demonic. It is goaded. It is led by Satan himself. And I'm not just saying this. This is truly what I believe. They're a bunch of fools, godless fools. Ann Coulter called the Democratic Party godless years ago in the 90s. She was spot on. How much worse have they gotten since then? So they want to honor a felon, George Floyd, and they want to sneer at Trump over a kangaroo court decision. Now they're finding out that the jurors broke confidentiality. I hope to God they find that out, because then, if that's the case, this has to be thrown out and the charges dismissed. The Democrats are not that airtight, but you want to know what's sad about them? Evil is on the throne right now, folks. Nothing's going to happen to Hunter. Nothing. Joe Biden and Joe Biden are making sure of that. They're corrupt. They're evil. And my message to these three clowns: heart attack can't hit you quick enough. A car crash, a slip in the tub and knock your head off, something. These are dangerous people, folks. They're not for the good of America. They're not good for all the people. They're helping themselves with their twisted, destructive agendas. AOC is a nut job. I would say it to her face. You want all the illegals to come in. All right, baby. Let's send all the Muslims to Puerto Rico. Why don't you let all the Mexicans flood Puerto Rico? Why don't you let all the Europeans and the Asians flood Puerto Rico? Let's talk about doing the same thing, but flip the script. How about if all the Europeans descend on Syria and Jordan and just take over? Wouldn't that be awesome? How about if all the white people move into these dangerous countries and force the Muslims out? That'd be awesome. See, they don't like that. These people that make high salaries and live with police protection and guards want to stir the pot and make it dangerous for the rest of us. That is not leadership qualified material. These are saboteurs. These are terrorists, homegrown, home voted in. And when you got a voting populace in America that cares more about a damn dog and their right to murder their child in the name of choice, and that's not choice, that's another lying term. That child in their womb doesn't have a say in the matter. It's interesting how Democrats are against spanking a child, making laws. Abuse is never okay. Killing a child in the womb is not abuse? Okay. But see, they do the same thing that car dealerships do with pre-owned. Oh, it's a fetus. It's a tissue blob. See, if you believe in evolution, you can change the terms. But there's a heartbeat in there and blood flowing, and that kid is kicking. That's not a tissue blob, dum-dums. That's a living soul. And you're going to wipe it out. Any woman in America that supports abortion is a cold, cruel waste of skin. If somebody murdered that woman today, any of those women living, oh, that's such a tragedy. But they don't view an abortion the same way. They're very cool about it. They'll have an abortion at Planned Parenthood in the morning and go out and get drunk that night. Fun, 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 fun. I have no respect for Western women and what they've done. They're destructive. They're damaging. Not all women are like this, but most of them are. They want their rights. And I'm telling you, I live in a place where when I was driving school buses, the bulk of the kids are very bad out here, and they're raised by immature, childish, addicted women. Women cause a massive amount of damage in American culture. In fact, most people don't even realize how deep and wide it is, but it's severe. It's state of emergency time. AOC, Ilhan Omar need to go back to their respective countries and shut the hell up. They are ridiculous. And what I think that needs to happen is somehow people with money, whites and people who are sick of what's happening in this country, we ought to just go invade another country. Just flood on in, push all the locals out and take over. And watch them whine and scream about it. But then let us say something about them flooding in and taking over here, and we're racist. I think white conservatives ought to flood Martha's Vineyard and flood the Hamptons and these Democrat places and start buying up all the real estate. They ought to bulldoze Zuckerberg's house down. They ought to bulldoze Nancy Pelosi's house down and turn it into a nature preserve. They want to preserve the environment, take the properties away, and make it open space. These guys are hypocrites, and I will go to my grave believing that. What these people have done is criminal. When the media doesn't say a word, when AOC says, all these people that voted for Trump, a list should be made and they should be denied employment. All these people that are in the current Democrat administration letting our country be destroyed, endangering us by pissing off Russia, ought to be imprisoned, all their property seized, all their bank accounts seized, and put back into the government, paying off the trillions of dollars of debt that they have incurred. That I'm not whack for saying that. But this is America. It's like a toilet bowl. It's like those floaties, you poop and you got one that just won't go down the bowl. I'm sorry, but all of you that are believing America is going to turn around, I'm going to tell you something. Pay attention to a little bit of biblical history. This country isn't coming back, folks. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I've been wrong before about things. But I'm seeing something. People, they don't want to talk about this. They want to ignore this, but we sin. And our sins and the things we tolerate as Christians, and what's happening is we've lost our effective prowess as a country. And what Americans fail to realize while they're still pro-Biden, what are they going to do when an ICBM rains on their neighborhood? Stop and think about the implications of New York City being just taken out. The good that would come from that is all the news networks and the Good Morning America wouldn't be broadcasting anymore. That's not a loss. Now, do I believe in the death and destruction of American citizens? It depends on who you're talking about. When the Democrats talk about killing 61 million people, and the Democrats support that, I think it stands to reason for every abortion that's committed, a Democrat should be euthanized. So we got 61 million Democrats to go. And I say we start with all of them in Capitol Hill and work ourselves all the way across the country. I think that'd be a splendid idea. I've gotten calloused, and I'm tired of these people fucking with my income, making laws that are just impinging on us. I live in a county that looks the other way on black bullshit. I live in a county that the police do virtually nothing with the bad acting blacks. I used to drive a bus for a school system that doesn't do a damn thing about these bad kids, virtually speaking. The danger to the bus drivers, parents coming on the school buses and attacking. I've seen the videos myself that were shown in service trainings. Yeah, this area that I live is very, very dangerous. There was somebody ran up on my front porch May 22nd. Got a ski cap on with grass all stuck to it. Dropped the ski hat. Apparently tried to knock on the door. Didn't hear him. Ran to my neighbor's house. I texted my neighbor. I said, there was a ski hat on my porch, and I know the wind didn't put it there. There's no way the wind could have blown it there where it was sitting. My neighbors on either side look out for me, and I look out for them. He said, yeah, a guy came running off the side street over here, left his shoes in the middle of the street. He got shot, injured, blood running out of him, and he didn't have a phone. He was trying to get somebody to call 911. About a month before that, I got home from work, sat down to eat with my roommate. Heard that. She goes, what was that? I said, I don't know. I'm going to find out. About 12 to 15 rounds are fired in a brick house 2 doors down. I'm going to say something to the people in America, and people can say what they want. This shit doesn't go on in conservative Republican led communities. Okay. I don't believe the Republicans are without sin and without fault. But this is what Democrat stuff does. And they want to take away our guns. Okay. The people that are causing all of the damage with guns are not the ones registering them, they're stealing them from others. Okay. That's one. Number two, have you watched how bad drivers? I mean, it's quantified way more than what I complained about in Denver. Do you hear the Democrats' concern for driver control? They're killing way more people than guns are. This party is evil. Joe Biden is in old man decline. He seems to be sharp as a tack when he's got his vitriol against Trump. Did you hear Joy Behar? Did you hear Hillary Clinton and their dumb comments regarding D-Day? Hillary and Joy Behar know nothing about World War II history. People got legs and arms blown off. France was getting their ass wiped by Hitler. And what did America get for defending France? Slapped in the face years later. Hillary Clinton and Joy Behar using D-Day to say why we need to vote for Biden is the most obtuse comment anybody could make. I don't care what these fucking morons on the left have to say about Donald Trump. While he was president, he did not fuck with this country. He didn't pocket money. Joy Behar, who makes way too much money for all her swimming pool of makeup that she pours on every day and her obese, ugly self and her nasty choice of clothing. And I would say it to her face. We are sick of hearing these people making the kind of money they make to bring no good for the country at all. They're like the Exxon Valdez with a toxic spill oozing in all directions. They're liars, they're story spinners, and they make money to sit on their butt all day and bitch about those of us that are sick of what they're doing. They don't work hard. They don't sweat. And what bothers me is none of them see, as smart as they claim to be, that fucking with Russia, egging them on, antagonizing them, telling Zelensky in the Ukraine, here's some ammo, throw it at Russia. Is Biden that dumb that he actually believes Putin's going to go, well, they didn't send troops? No, Putin's not happy about it. But Putin's not a half-cocked American teenager. He's a very smart man. He's a very calculated man. He's not an irrational man. Biden is. Biden's got his son in deep doo-doo. And they're too busy going back and forth to court to defend a troubled, fucked up teenage boy trapped in an adult body. And what did he do in the Ukraine? I'd sure like to know. And no offense to Ukrainians listening, your women are the worst on the online dating, right up there with Russians for being scammers. You're beautiful, but you have no heart. Men fall in love with you, get you over there, and you clean them out like a root canal. I would advise every one of my friends, and I never thought I'd say this. A whole page was started called Happier Abroad, and the guy that started it gave shout outs to me. He'd be disappointed to know I've since changed my stance. If I was to go to the Philippines, I could get a girlfriend within a week or 2 weeks. But you know what? The older I get, and I've watched the internet change things, nobody's sweet and innocent anymore. Be very careful, men. Be very careful, women. Be careful. Your closest friends. To quote the once great Maharani, could be the very ones poking holes in the bottom of your boat. We see this. I see this in my current workplace. People that have been friends turning against each other like that. That's why I like being a lone ranger. You learn to get stronger. You learn to discern. You try to learn from your mistakes. A woman is not the answer for us sometimes, folks. Sure, I'd like a girlfriend. Sure, I'd want to express some physical intimacy. But that could be the Black Widow spider bite to death. Keep it in your pants, man. Think with this one, not the one between your legs. We're stupid that way. Admit it. Russia is not to be fucked with. We know what the Bible says in Ezekiel 38 and 39. They, Gog and Magog, which is the old name for Russia, and Togarma, put Persia, which would consist of Iran, Iraq, they're all going to join Russia, mostly Muslim nations, and God will turn back but a sixth of thee. So before Biden and the Democrats continue to bullshit you into thinking, oh, the Ukraine's winning, they're not. That's the media lie. And I'm going to tell you that if Putin is planning on doing anything to this country, we're not going to have any warning. He's not going to give us one. It will catch every single one of us off guard. And if you look in the Bible about other nations that were nasty, and was it Habakkuk who prayed, oh God, please deliver us? And God says, oh, I'm going to. I'm going to bring this nation against the nation that's harassing Israel. Habakkuk says, wait, they're worse. God says, yeah, I know. But remember, God said the nations are as a drop in the bucket. No offense. God doesn't get all touchy-feely about our flag and our Chevy and apple pie and our proms and homecoming queens as we do. God is about the business of eternity. Okay? And he will use nations to bring judgment against another nation. We're under the new covenant. We're under what Christ died on the cross for our sins. But God doesn't change. And he could very well bring a nasty country against us to bring judgment, to make a point. We do not know what's going to happen to America. No one knows. We do know, based on what this current administration is doing, they're messing it up really badly. Or maybe I should say they're messing it up real good. Two countries you don't fuck with, Russia and China. And America was stupid to send all the labor over to China. We got garbage in return. America has spent billions funding China's military, their industrial revolution. Go back to when I was born in the 60s and go look at China. Bicycles, rusty bicycles. Look at them now. Their cities make America's alabaster cities look like a crushed tin can that's rusted where the label is no longer readable. Americans want to keep believing we're going to make America great again. This country is corroded, rotting, sagging, stooping, deteriorating rapidly. Our sewer lines nationwide are blowing. Several in Atlanta had blown. The lights went out at the damn airport. Our infrastructure's old and outdated. Our schools are churning out the same Democrat lies. The kids are failing. The kids are fucking up. And Americans go the same way. Oh, I got to get that car or that truck with a lift kit. We're still following stupid dead end runs. We're not taught to invest. We're not taught to get smart like the Asians. We're taught to spend all our money on foolishness just to show off. And this matter of dogs, dog food commercials, obsession with dogs. People calling the Douglas County sheriffs heroes for saving a dog in the back of an SUV on a snowy day. I wrote a comment of disgust. Heroes? People are being harassed. People are being shot. And we got cops wasting time getting a dog out of an SUV. Great job, boys. Great job. We got major problems going on, but we saved a dog. Women hate me for this. And even some simp men that want to white knight women. Pet obsession is a mental disorder. Dogs are disgusting. They lick their butt, they lick their balls, they lick their vagina, they drink out of the toilet, eat out of the trash, eat dead shit, and then come up and lick your face. And women today just go ape shit crazy over a filthy beast like that. Why are we surprised? They're dating felons. They're dating criminals. But let's go back to Donald Trump. Did he fuck with America? No, he had a wall built. He started shutting the spigot off of the illegals that come over. Biden just opened the fire hydrant full force. Look at how angry Martha's Vineyard got when DeSantis Airlines sent a bunch of Venezuelans over there. They didn't let them touch the ground for more than 24 hours and they had them out of there. And some dumb woman saying, we don't have the resources. Obama's got a 40-bedroom mansion, I was told. 40 out of the 50 could have housed up in each a bedroom for themselves. You see what these clowns are doing? They're really preserving the environment, Obama. Oprah Winfrey with a $90 million Montecito mansion and 7, 8 others. That's preserving the environment, right? That's cutting down on spherical heating, right? Now they're claiming the oceans are rising. Go take a picture of the Statue of Liberty at the base of it, okay? And then go take a picture from 100 years ago and look at the comparison. It's the same. They're liars. All these icebergs are melting. Where's the rise? Well, the Marianas Islands, yeah, they're low-lying islands. They're actually sinking into the sea. Ignorance is bliss when you're a Democrat. All these shootings, all this crazy behavior out here. I've been very honest. You know, I've been around conservatives and Christians, and yeah, some Christians can be the biggest a-holes on the planet, quoting scripture, acting very self-righteous, but they ignore all the sins they do and conveniently, summarily dismiss them while zeroing in on your sin. I believe in Christianity. I believe that Jesus Christ is more than proven himself. I believe in the Bible. To do that, the Democrats think you're foolish. That's fine. God chose the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. And I'm a foolish thing. I'm a very foolish thing. I'm a failure in many ways. But God enables me to stand. God promised to meet my needs, not my greeds. And when he's done with me on this earth, he will determine when that end is, not you. Back to America. No one, not Pacific, not you, not the greatest analyst of all times, knows exactly what and how this country is going to end. But when you have Democrats at the helm, you know that that does not bode well for the health, strength, security, and sanity of a nation. It's no longer, we just need to agree to disagree. No, we need to fight tooth and nail, chalk to pen, pen to pencil, with the mind. We need to find a way to put truth on blast and put shame on blast for these Democrats and their hypocrisy. But guess what? There's all kinds of channels and blogs to choose from. People that are deeply entrenched and enmeshed in a cult like the Democrat left are only going to read the materials, just like the Mormon church, are only going to read Mormon literature. Jehovah's Witnesses are only going to read Jehovah's Witness literature, Watchtower, New World Translation. Democrats are the same. Tune into CNN, listen to some Hollywood run their mouth about the danger of guns after he just got off the set shooting everybody in their face. The Democratic Party does not model a damn thing. They're taking away your rights. They're censoring your free speech. They're fucking with your income. They want to take your house. They want to take your bank accounts. They want to take your gas engine, diesel engine. They want to tie you up in bondage and make you their slave or kill you. This is the party that condoned and owned and had slaves. And they're doing it again. Wake the fuck up, people. Look at Jeff Bezos of Amazon. Good job, right? $15 an hour to start here where I live. You can quit whenever you want. You can pick your shift. You can pick your days. You get health benefits immediately. Sounds great, right? I think the longest time period, gestation period of working there is all of 2 to 3, maybe the max 6 months. It is a high burnout crap job. But Americans created that. They got to have their shit now. They can sit at home and order it online. By the way, folks, I'm looking at stuff. Amazon is not saving you money. They start out that way, just like Walmart did. And then when they become big, they jack up the costs. But they got you hooked and you have nowhere else to go. Americans are kind of dumb that way. You got to pay to have Prime. Whatever happened to self-control? Why don't you just go to the store and buy it? Why don't you support your local businesses? Why don't you support your local businesses? Why don't you get off your ass, get off the computer and get in your car and go support your local businesses, your local artisans, your local businesses and restaurants? Stop supporting these big name franchises that are gouging you. But unfortunately, Americans have bad habits and they want to keep their addictions alive and well. I don't support Amazon. I haven't ordered anything through them, and I am trying like hell to never start. The hatred towards Donald Trump is not because he's corrupt or broke some laws. The hate is because he did something that a presidential candidate never did. He spoke the truth. The Democrats did not hate George Bush. because he was a pansy ass. Okay. Even Ronald Reagan, he was a good one, but he didn't speak like Trump. To the Democrats, Trump was a bull in the china shop, and they didn't like it. I voted for Trump. My biggest reason is when I heard him speak, I said, wow, he's finally not playing plastic, polished charisma games. He's got my vote. The reason Pacific doesn't have a massive following is because I'm not polished. But God didn't make me that way. When Jesus chose his disciples, you need to study their lives and their occupations. The fishermen were called sons of thunder. That's not an endearing term. They probably didn't put a filter on anything they said. They were sailors. They were out on the sea. They were out there fishing. They had to be tough and strong. They didn't attend tea parties. Then you got a tax collector. Nobody liked the damn tax collector. Putting a tax collector in a group of people is like throwing a big fatted pig into a pen with starving hyenas, lions, and pit bulls. Pig ain't gonna last long. Jesus didn't choose the well-dressers, the college-schooled men. He chose ordinary people. God didn't show up to the religious elites. The angels showed up to the shepherds, the lowliest of all professions, herding smelly sheep. People say the Bible isn't true, but yet if you read the Bible, it clearly is because it includes the flaws, the mistakes, and the simplicity of writings that are not malicious. Somebody's telling the story as it happened. Go to training at a company and they tell you, let's make it seamless. American corporations are more laughable than some crazed, foolish story written by a bunch of clowns. Full of flaws, full of problems. Their customer service is horrible. And people want to attack the Bible and say it's a fairy tale. Interesting. Jesus didn't choose the strong and mighty or the renowned in society. And he reiterates it through the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians. Not many of you are wise, not many of you are of noble birth, but God chose the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. If you look at the Christian church objectively, it's a joke. If you look at most Christians, they're a joke. We're foolish. That's why. We don't look good most of the time. This idea of this church that's flawless and alpha and have no fear, superhero Christian is here. That doesn't exist. Now we got powder puff theologians, Joel Osteen and clowns and Paula White and living off the fat of the land, fleecing the sheep, fleecing the flock of the sheeple of ignoramuses that don't have something called discernment. They're certainly not led by the Holy Spirit to see and unpack what these clown televangelists are preaching. They want you to deposit all your money with them and invest in their bank, but you don't get any interest. You don't get any cash dividends. They do. There's a sucker born every minute. The people of God should be the last ones to become suckers, but they're often the first. And you wonder why our country has no power and no clout. We're a nation of talkers. I'm chief. And we don't get anything done. We got all this news out there telling us about all the bad, the good, the bad, and ugly. But what's happening? Nothing. Nothing. Hello, Jim. Welcome. I don't care what anybody says. They think, oh, we won here. Little itty bitty nothing burgers. Is it possible that God is lassoed this country and moving it in a direction on a collision course with judgment? Has anybody thought about that? Is God interested in making America great again? Is that really in his heart? I don't think it is. I don't know the mind of God on that. I do know this. It is not his will that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. That is his will. But does America have this favored special status with God? Some might argue that it has. And people say, oh, that's because we sent missionaries and we were a Christian nation. No. The grace of God, the blessings of God falls on the just and the unjust. The Bible makes it very clear. He causes rain to fall on the just and the unjust. The sun rises on the just and the unjust. So we can't do that. You're going to say because 220,000 people wiped out in a tsunami in Indonesia that, oh, God was pissed at them. Excuse me. That part of the world gets stuff like that. They got earthquakes and tsunamis in their low-lying islands. Yep, that stuff's going to happen. You know, people think that God is supposed to just step in and stop something. I've believed it for long, and guess what? He doesn't. Everybody wants to see God part the Red Sea for them. Okay, I believe in dispensationalism. To dispense, okay? A candy dispenser or a snack machine dispenser. Put the money in, pull the button, I get the Nabisco crackers. Okay? God at certain times did certain things for a reason in the context of that time, and he doesn't repeat them. We don't see the Red Seas being parted. We don't see manna falling from heaven. We don't see Moses. He wasn't supposed to hit the rock with the staff. He was supposed to speak. But in his temper, God covered his back only because God knows more than we do. But he was displeased with Moses, said, you're not going in. I told you to speak, and you, in anger, you're not going to the promised land, dude. Dispensational means that God at certain times did certain things. Tongues was not something that we go shabba-dabba-da, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. That crap still continues in a country called the United States by ignorant sheep. I'm not even going to break it all down. It's a waste of time. You can read in the Bible in Pentecost what happened when people spoke in tongues. That foreigners heard God's word in their native tongue, not shabba dabba da, Scooby Dooby Doo. How are you? God's gifts were not toys to be played with, but were tools for the furtherance of his glory, his word, and the building and the foundation of the church. I, as a Christian, am amazed at the attack that I get from the devil. I'm amazed at my own depravity within myself. And you got silly Christians that get saved and they think, oh, I got to stop this. I got to stop this. Oh, I stopped it. I'm holy. You got to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're not the Holy Spirit, dude. Back off. Take heed lest you fall. The devil's on the loose, folks. If you don't see that, then your eyes aren't open. And I do bring Christianity and the Democrats and women and countries and experiences all into this because I am an individual. And Sunday is not just, oh, well, that's time to talk about God Day. God is my God. Christ is Lord over my life, though I have a very hard time submitting to the Lordship front. But who doesn't? Who doesn't? There's people that act like they've got it in a nice, neat little box, but look at the cost of their box. Look at the cost of their box. These big name household names pulling in $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $1 million off a book. Pastoral salaries in the double-digit hundred thousands. Yeah. Easy for them to tell you, stop sinning, turn to God. Okay, Mr. Materialist, let me know when you do the same. People don't like it. A young woman in Colorado years ago said, man, I can't believe the things you say about Christians and you call yourself a Christian. You shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free, honey. You're the one that sent me scantily clad pictures to show me how long your hair was. There must not even be a hint of sexual immorality among you. What the hell is that, temptress? The thing is, people don't think deep anymore. People don't think deep anymore. Very few. We're going to lose the farm if the Democrats win again. And before you get smug, oh no, Biden's going down. Yep. Might I remind you of 1912? Would you like to drink some Sanka? I think that's what they had on the Titanic. Unsinkable, right? Stop believing. Oh, our military, Russia never win. Anybody remember the 6-Day War? Everybody remember stuff that happened to Israel? Blindsided. You think it can't happen in the U.S.? You think, oh, our military is so great. Wait a minute. What's down there? Is there a pogo stick or is there a taco? That's what our military is doing right now. They're navel gazing down in their sexual anatomy, trying to figure out what the hell they are. Do you think that Russian troops are doing this? We're a bunch of pussies over here, folks. Pussies. Me too. All of us. Us. Oh, you're big because you drive a twat and you have a gun and a Coors can. Okay. There's guys in Russia that train and they're not playing around. There's guys in China. Yeah, they walk like this. But you want to talk about discipline? Look at their military. They're not fucking around. So America's going to have to learn the saying and the phrase that it coined. Fuck around and find out. Keep fucking around with Russia. Keep doing it. It doesn't matter that there's a bunch of Christian churches here. You know, our leadership can bring things that affect all of us. Already has been. I believe you're paying through the nose at the pumps because of the clown in office. Whoever's playing the song, Send in the Clowns, you can stop now. They're here. I say this to get you to think. I say this to challenge your mind from the status quo. Yeah, America's got a great military. Sort of. Used to. I'm not so sure they win. Supposedly we got a defense system that should shoot down anything Russia sent over. You sure it works? Have we tested it? Probably not. If God is bringing us into judgment, there's nothing that this military can do to stop that. Okay? So before you say how great our military is, it's only as great as God allows it to be. Interesting. Thank you for that. But just in nuclear technology, I don't know who has more weapons. It really doesn't matter. You send a couple of high grade nuclear weapons back and forth, everybody's going to be singing the blues, okay? because the fallout's a bitch. But an ICBM, I don't know all the technicalities, but I think an ICBM could take out a whole American city, at least damage it enough and the fallout enough to really fuck things up. You take and shoot just one thing at Manhattan. Oh my gosh, you got major networks there, Rockefeller Plaza, and you got Wall Street. I mean, that would do a massive blow to the American psyche. Can you imagine if Putin just said fuck it and took the rotunda? Well, the White House isn't that far. I mean, that would create a problem. DC would be obliterated. And don't kid yourself. Don't say it can't happen. I don't trust our leadership. I'm not worried about Putin. Putin doesn't scare me because Putin also is under the sovereignty of God, whether he recognizes it or not. But God could use him or Xi Jinping or anybody else to judge us. This high-tech world forgets that. The nations are as a drop in the bucket. So what that you got internet? So what you got free Wi-Fi and technology and corporate this and corporate that? God supersedes it all at the end of the day. Men are just a bunch of people strutting it out on the stage of life, forgetting there's always a Pompeii in the background. Always. If you want a fascinating study, study Pompeii, or as a musical called it, Pompeii, and look at Vesuvius. Nah, I said that wrong. There's always a Vesuvius in the background, not a Pompeii. Pompeii is a fairly well-preserved city from the volcanic ash, anywhere from 10 to 15 feet deep, that buried people. Their society was pretty advanced. Tile mosaics, beautiful tile. The artisanship in Pompeii, the buildings and stuff is phenomenal. And the ash just completely engulfed and encased everything and preserved it. But the archaeologists were going over there doing digs way back in the day, and they found holes in the ground. And they dig down to the bottom of the hole, and there's bones. And they found one after another. And one guy says, "Wait a minute, don't dig it up." They poured plaster of Paris in the hole until it filled, waited for it to harden, and said, "Now dig away the dirt." Guess what they found? The solidified ash of the person's last movements trying to outrun this Dante's Inferno. Disasters are there to remind us that we're perishable. We don't like that word. Perishable. Refrigerate immediately. You want to think you're big and mighty in your twuck? You're perishable. You like that meat. If it doesn't get in the fridge, it's going to go bad and stink. We are perishable. Look at what's going on in our country. Just here, just on my block, within the space of 2 months. Shootings. My neighbor, big black guy, I told him about what happened with the ski hat on the porch and all that. And my roommate asked me, if I hear a knock, should I open? I said, absolutely not. You come and knock on my bedroom door and let me decide what I need to do, but do not answer the door. Do not turn on the light in the house. That man said, what time was it? I said, 2 o'clock in the morning when that happened. He said, man, I don't know. He said, I'm not afraid, but I'm not answering my door. You don't know what these crazy people do today. He's right. And people say, are you afraid? I said, no, because most of this crap that's going on around here is black on black bullshit. Somebody didn't pay the drug dealer or somebody pissed off somebody. This stuff is all the time here, every day. The nightclub I went to, we had just gone there Friday night, went down to shoot pool. We left early. We left about 9:10. 1:15 in the morning, Some guy came down there with an assault rifle and started firing away right at the locale. Not inside, but just right there on the corner where it is. Police dropped his ass right there, shot him. But this isn't just where I live. This is going on everywhere. We live in different times. All of us need to be aware our life could just like that. Thank you for listening. Yeah, now I have heard about strategic and tactic. I've heard that. The way I look at Russia, China, and the US is we all got each other on checkmate, if you really think about it. You know, if Japan or China wants to seize Taiwan, what are we going to be able to do? If we try to go over there and get in that ocean, they're going to sink our ships. They're going to just do it. They're an advantage because I flew over Taiwan every time. I flew right over Taipei and looked at it on my trips to Hong Kong 3 different times. China's right there. That'd be an easy seize. Easy. The only reason they haven't done it, they're watching us. They're watching what's going on with Ukraine. They know that it's pissing Russia off. And you know, Biden successfully caused Russia and Xi Jinping and Putin to have a little conversation about helping each other out with oil. Good job, Biden. Good freaking job. The most unwise, unethical, corrupt politician to run our country for such a time as this. And all these clowns that keep insisting he's still so good. God may just very well be roping us into judgment. He might just be doing that. This is Pacific, signing off. Fasten your seatbelts.